welcome to the All Things ITSM Global Podcast, coming to you from SITS in London. I'm Kirsty McGowan, I'm here with Suresh GP.
Hi everybody.
James Finister.
Hello.
And our guest is Matt Dircks from Rockpower.
Good morning, how are you?
Good to see you.
Or good afternoon, whatever part of the world you're in today.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hey, okay, Matt, this is a great show right here. And if you look down on the show floor behind us, you'll see a whole different set of generations of IT people down there. Do you think as we're seeing a much younger workforce in the business, that's going to affect the way we deliver IT services?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you think about it, whether you call it the meme of consumerization of IT, you know, Gen Y, millennials, digital natives, I think everybody has a different name or marketing campaign around it, but essentially think about people that grew up on gaming platforms, on mobile devices here, and there's an expectation of immediacy, and also the notion around lack of hierarchy and non-rigid communication and processes. So, you know, we found we need to make sure that any type of engagement you create from a customer-facing perspective is just that. It's engaging, it's relevant, it understands who I am, what I'm trying to do, where I am at, and it gives me that immediate sense of feedback. And if I don't get what I need or I don't understand, how do I have intelligent crowdsourcing? Think of an application like Waze. If you've used Waze on top of Google Maps before, it takes the absolute information of maps and crowdsource where's the police activity, where's the traffic at, and dynamically provides you in real time, and it has that networking effect as the more you contribute, the more you receive from that. So that expectation, I think, is pretty much the rigor, if you will, from what we call digital natives here, and that means as vendors, it challenges us to make sure we provide user experience that's something that's very clean and engaging, I use that word again, but something that allows people to quickly get to where they want, because folks don't read manuals. I mean, you know the old joke about RT whatever M, the old thing of if you don't understand, read the manual. You know, you've failed, in my opinion, if people have to read the manual to be able to get, you know, a customer experience out of that. And that's just one example of what we're seeing from a digital native or millennials, which also creates an issue when you have management that has a different expectation around ITIL and process orientation. So marrying those two is quite an interesting challenge at times.
And you, Matt, one question was Bomgar as a partner, has been working as partner with a lot of this competition. It's quite interesting, and I wanted to understand how is the partner ecosystem, particularly the way Bomgar does that, and how does it possess some real challenges or opportunities?
It does. I think the challenge is you know, certainly manageable, but we have a lot of the leading IT service management vendors such as BMC and ServiceNow and other great partners here that all partner with us, and we have a great relationship. And the key is, how do we continue to add value to their customers? As you know, it's a very competitive market. You know, we'd like to think that we provide the ability to have those multiple channels of engagement with customers and do it in a way that's very relevant, that works for compliance and rigid process management that you need from an ITIL perspective or governance perspective, but also bridges the gap to make sure that that user, the ultimate consumer of that service, has a very powerful, positive experience. And you know, the challenge, I think, is just trying to make sure we take good care of those relationships. The technology integration, quite frankly, is not trivial, but it's the easy part. It's the relationships between our teams and our customers, and ensuring that you don't have missed opportunities to work together. And the challenge is sometimes for us is you have multiple partners of Bomgar that might be working for the same account, you know, and we try to be very fair, and you know, whoever may have approached us first, but you know, we have 14 very clear key core values that we live by in the company, and one of them is integrity, and the other is transparency. There's many more, but that's the challenge, but also the opportunity is they realize that when they deal with Bomgar, you know, we're going to be honest when we said we can't engage on that because we're already engaged with another partner or vice versa. But they'll also know that if we've engaged with that partner, we're not going to go back and come in the back door with a different one. So challenge is staying on top of it and also making sure we treat partners fairly. It's kind of like if you have children, you may not treat everybody the same, but you will treat everyone fairly.
But in these events of this order, you have a lot of competitors within your reach and other stuff. How do you look at this? Is it a good prospect for vendors to learn from each other, to implement some of these best practice ideas, or for the user groups? How do you see having the competitors side by side and sharing a calendar?
You know, it certainly helps us because we learn a lot from different partners of how we get that macro view, almost like an analyst that gets to work with many different type of partners or journalists, et cetera there. We learn a lot, and it's great to cross-pollinate ideas without violating any sort of confidentiality there, but it gives us a metadata approach to things. I think vendors are much less likely to share that, although at the user level they do. And it's funny to compare and contrast that. At least in IT you have well-defined processes, and whether companies are mature or not can be debated, and I think we've talked before around whether ITIL really is more prescriptive or descriptive and whatever it may be. You go next door to the security show that's here going on in Europe, where we also have a stand. There are no ITIL standards there. It's much more like the Wild West. So you have a very different market there where people are just trying to educate themselves and much more open to crowdsourcing, if you will. Whereas here, there's at least a better understood discipline around process orientation. And because of that, I think the vendors are probably less likely to formally collaborate because there are a lot of competition there.
I was talking with a vendor, and he said, this is one of the easiest show for us, because we don't need to explain them. They are well prepared and the homework is done. We just have to answer this question.
Yes.
So it becomes a lot more beneficial for them to have a selling proposition.
Yeah, I think that's true.
So I think we were talking before about these digital natives and these kids who've grown up with all these devices and services that are just part of themselves. They're not.
I got my Apple Watch. I mean, I'm not a native, but I'm a digital immigrant, I guess. I've gotten into that. So
I mean, we've been talking for years about the whole bring your own device and how to manage that, but it's not all about bring your own device anymore, is it? It's
bring your own app.
Yeah, they're bringing their own apps, bringing their own services with them, and that becomes quite difficult to manage from an IT service management
I mean, because
standpoint.
we talked about shadow IT before. I think it's a great example is if I'm used to, hey, there's an app for that, and if it's going to let me get my job better, I don't care that my IT organization doesn't support Box or Dropbox or iCloud or pick one, Google OneDrive. The point is and the user may not understand the requisite risks of doing that, whereas IT. So that's a great friction point where I personally said, okay, well, to do our jobs, we really need this ability to share large data and whatever it is there. And I think you've seen vendors like, say, Dropbox or Box that have put enterprise class type track traceability on there, but that all started because these users in shadow IT weren't getting from IT what they wanted. Or you look at the growth of somebody like Amazon Web Services or any Azure.
That's right.
You know what? I'm not going to wait 5 weeks for a server. No. I can call with a credit card or a phone and I can have an instance up in an hour, 2 hours? So that creates a lot of pressure because how do you balance the productivity and immediacy that I think a lot of digital natives expect with the compliance, especially if you're in a highly regulated industry like healthcare, financial services, even we have a lot of customers in higher education, student records, that's all very much needs to be safeguarded. So that's an interesting challenge I think we're all facing as vendors, quite frankly.
Yeah, it certainly is.
That's quite interesting. You talked about universities with maybe multiple cultures in the university. You've got the systems of record, plus you're trying to support students who may be more into social media. Do you think tool vendors are moving quickly enough to support a multimodal culture?
Probably not. I mean, there's an old saying is that the world was created in 6 days because there was no user base. And I think part of the challenge is while you try to be as responsive to, taking care of new emerging needs, it's also with the eye on, I also may have thousands of customers that have an upgrade path and user acceptance testing, and is it more disruptive? And if I disrupt my customers too much, will it create an opportunity for another vendor? So I'd probably say on balance, no, although I think we're moving much faster. You see everybody, we have multi-channel support for a lot of different ways for customers to engage through their support desks or external facing support. I think your ITSM vendors have put more social and gamification for IT, for example, to make it more like a game of responding to that call and understanding those things as a response to that. But I just think the inherent the release cycles, especially you're dealing with enterprises, the change control and the introduction of risk, that always creates another challenge from my perspective.
It's been great talking to you today.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for spending some time with us.
No, I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you all.
Yeah.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you.